What's up, fellow Lords of Gaming, and welcome back to another Marvel Future Revolution episode. Today we are going to be jumping into Wolverine, getting a little bit more deep dive on his costumes. Highly important because if you watch my previous videos about his skills, his specializations, his potential, you can understand quickly how his uniforms are going to affect the dynamics of play. And the great thing about Wolverine is that all his abilities that he basically has, his uniforms are all viable. He's one of the most completed characters in the game, in my opinion, at this point. So let's jump in, take a look. Number one, I don't think there's a point to talk about non-regional gear pieces for Wolverine. And why? This is a kudos to the development team, Joe Lee and his team over there at Netmarble, because everybody is basically getting a new Stark City set. So at the very least, everybody has this regional piece of gear. Gives you attack, plus attack, crit damage, and ultimate skill level. And the ultimate skill level is nothing to sleep about because Wolverine's ultimate ability is hands down one of the best ultimate abilities inside this game, period. If you are a new player, a whale, a pay-to-play player, a dolphin, or whatever the fuck you are, his ultimate ability is not something to sleep on. So having access to the new Stark City set is a great thing. Love it. I love what they did there for that, and I think it was just, kudos to the development team. Xanderth, this ability inside this set is not a bad one because there's a couple of abilities that Wolverine has within his Swift Strike class skill that are actually viable for you. You're going to be utilizing one of those abilities all the time. And having attack critical damage is not a bad thing at all. So when you look at Wolverine's skills, what I mean by that is, like, let's take a look at the skills over here. You've basically got claw expertise. This is going to be in your kit regardless of whether you're playing PvE, PvP, Alliance, or Mega War, whatever it is. You're going to want that marked target status because it's giving you 30%. Like, that's just what it is. It's a good ability, right? Overall. Another one of those abilities that a lot of players will probably opt into utilizing, especially inside some PvE debuff builds, whether you're playing raid, blitz, invasion modes, and stuff like that, is going to be his debuff abilities. And you see that Intrepid Dash is going to be one of those skills that most people probably would use for those, especially in a PvE environment. Whether it's specific or non-specific to the character, you can still utilize that Swift Strike class skill. Like, it's just, it is what it is, baby. This dude is kitted out. Like, that's just the bottom line. You know what I mean? The one Swift Strike class skill that I think is going to be pretty unique to some players is going to be the Metal Defense. Whether or not you utilize that or not is going to be largely dependent upon server and some other factors inside the game. That's just the truth of the matter. Like, I don't know how to cut it another way. It just is what it is. So when I look at that uniform, that's the reason why I look at Swift Strike class skills the way I do. But the fact is that he does have Swift Strike class skills that are usable. 2 of his Swift Strike class skills are highly used. Excuse me. All right, so let's get back into this collection uniform, right? But so there's nothing non-feasible about using the Xanderth set, especially because you have attack, crit damage, and the Swift Strike class skill there. The Midgardia uniform is going to basically apply attack, crit damage, but it's going to go to the Adamantium Claws class skill. You're still going to want to use these Adamantium Claw class skills because there's about 3 of them inside there. They're all utilizable. They apply Rupture, which is part of the key components of the character, and one of them applies buff effects to your character as well. So you're going to probably be utilizing these a lot. I utilize, I think, 3 of the Adamantium Claw class skills and 2 of the Evolve Hunter class skills inside my kit. So Midgardia is very useful for those type of players. Sakaar is another one of those classes. There's nothing wrong about this uniform. It literally is apply attack, crit damage, and then goes Evolve Hunter class skill. Now, Evolve Hunter class skills are literally some of his best inside his kit, where he gets invulnerabilities and iframes on those abilities and skills, and they do some good damage. And even more so, they apply to helping his ultimate gauge recovery come back. So you might want to spec into Evolve Hunter class skill, because guess what? You can also do massive damage on his Evolve Hunter class skill through laceration effects. So you could either spec into his Adamantium class skills that do a whole lot of damage, or you could evolve into his Evolve Hunter class skills, which also do a lot of damage. They just play out a little bit of a different way, and that makes them highly utilizable. It's really fucking cool. Like, I'm being honest with you guys when I say Wolverine is the most complete character that they've released to date. That's the bottom line truth of the matter. the most complete. And what I mean by that is no matter how you spin the wheel with the free tickets that they're giving you, you're probably going to have some feasibility in terms of what you're going to build, and what you're going to build is probably going to be effective in some shape, form, or way. Now, obviously, I think that the laceration effect that's inside the game has better benefits inside PvE more than I think that it does inside PvP, because when you look at the debuff abilities for Wolverine, you're looking at targets having to be in an area within 5 seconds, which means that you're probably going to look at, if you're building Evolve Hunter, you're looking at pretty much PvE, whereas you're building Adamantium claws, you're probably building across the board and you can go PvE or PvP. That's essentially the way I looked at it from that perspective. I hope that kind of helps you understand why I'm saying what I'm saying. But the bottom line is, like I said, I don't care what uniform you get. Like, I got 50 something tickets from them after I spent some 60 something tickets for uniform. So you should be able to get something from the shop to start pushing you in some direction. And like I said, they already gave you New Stark City. So next up, let's take a look at the Hydra Empire, which I don't recommend. It goes into attack, defense, pierce, and the Swift Strike class skill, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I don't think of any of the Swift Strike class skills as uniquely something that I want to boost up. So I don't see a lot there for the Hydra Empire one, just because like the Swift Strike class skill can be utilized, but the defense pierce, am I utilizing the Swift Strike class skills specifically for PvP? I don't think so. Like, I think you're going to lean more on your Adamantium claws abilities inside PvP than you are your Swift Strike class skills. So if you can find a way to make those three Swift, let's go back over here really quickly and let's take a look at his skills once more. If you can find a way, like, you're always going to utilize this one, the claw expertise, in my opinion. Everybody's going to use those. The Intrepid Dash, like I said, applies more laceration effect to, and that's more part of the debuff ability, which I find probably is going to be more utilizable inside PvE against like Blitz, Raid, and like Invasion modes. Then sure, but like the other ones that's inside the Swift Strike ability is Metal Defense. So you basically only have two abilities inside the PvP area that you probably are going to really be using. And Metal Defense, I explained in one of my other videos for his Wolverine skill. I find this one to be uniquely a unique skill that's going to probably benefit a certain group of players. That's just my true ability. You're going to have to be an absolute technician with Wolverine to utilize this, and you're going to have to understand your server numbers in terms of talking about those. So I don't find that the Swift Strike class skill matched with PvP is going to be the way that most players are going to go, or should go, in my opinion. So I would stay away from the Hydra Empire, because we're looking at attack, defense, pierce, and then Swift Strike class skills, right? Dark Domain, however, is giving you attack, defense, pierce, and Adamantium claw class skills. Now, your Adamantium claw class skills are going to be a little bit different. Like I said, I think those are leaning more towards PvP, but can be utilized in PvE, right? So I really like the Dark Domain set for that. The Savage Shadowlands set, it has HP recovery and critical rate, and then it also applies to Evolve Hunter class skills. I kind of like this one a lot for PvE. To be honest with you, for PvE, I think depending on what you get is going to be a hard thing, right? Because Savage Shadowland is weird. It's like on the verge of being a special costume, but it's not, because I don't really get a lot of Savage Shadowland drops for costumes. So being able to nano this thing is going to be a really big factor. So like, but if I get enough Savage Shadowland uniform pieces, there's nothing wrong with going HP recovery, crit rate, especially for Wolverine, getting that 11.4%. You want to max out that anyways, right? But then the Evolve Hunter class skills, they're also going to benefit you in a great way inside PvE. So for that reason, the sets that I'm mainly looking at is Dark Domain. I think you should be looking at Dark Domain for PvP. If you can't get some of the other ones that we're about to talk about, which are called Sakaar for the attack, crit damage, and Evolve Hunter class skills, which to me lean more towards PvE. and then Midgardia, which is kind of jack of all trades, kind of attack, critical damage, and Adamantium claw class skills, which goes PvE and PvP, right? That's essentially how I'm looking at it. Like the Adamantium claw class skills kind of lean towards this, where you're probably going to be playing PvP, you're going to use more of these, whereas, you know, you can still use them inside PvE, inside builds. So that's essentially how I'm looking. Now, your special class skills, the Steampunk one, applies to the Intrepid Dash and the Swift Strike class skill, but like I said, we're talking about the way we use that skill. Like the Intrepid Dash, it's the one skill that applies laceration, right? So if you're going for the debuff class skill bonus, then this is not such a bad thing to have. Like, so let's go back to the skills once more. So if I go inside my hero and I take a look at his skills, this is the Intrepid Dash, right? And this is the only skill in the entire kit that applies laceration, right? So you see that we basically have two skills inside of here. We've got Intrepid Dash and we've got the Swift Strike class skill, excuse me. Intrepid Dash and Claw Expertise. We get the marked target that only happens from the Swift Strike. We also get the laceration that only happens from the Swift Strike. So this is a PvE benefit to me because, like I said, I don't necessarily know that you're going to be able to get that combo of, you know, marked target, rupture, and then laceration on a character inside PvP environments, especially like I said, Wolverine's abilities don't seem to go outside the range of single target DPS. So I just, in that regards, it's just hard to say to opt into the Swift Strike class skill because I don't feel like the laceration is it's not going to happen as much there. That's just my feelings, and I could very well be wrong. And as we play through the character and get more information, it might change, right? The Rise of the East set, we've got Attack, Scarring, Whirlwind, and the Adamantium class claw skills. I'm using 3 of the Adamantium claw class skills, and I'm using Scarring, Whirlwind as my bread and butter for high damage output. So I think that this is a really good uniform if you're playing PvE, but again, it's within the special costume class field, and getting to nano those costumes is going to be a tremendously hard venture to go forward. So this is like the whale level costumes that you're going to go into. Rise of the East goes into forward momentum and the Evolve Hunter class skill. Really good uniform if you're going that way and you have the ability to opt into it. So it's just really, really hard to suggest any special costume to the probably 90% of the players out there because your ability to nano these costumes are going to be so much less than what it is for other players. Even at what they've tried to do by making it easier to access these costumes, I just don't feel like it's going to really be there for you to nano these. You're basically looking at having to get 6 pieces of special costumes per set piece in order to get a full complement. So that's 7 pieces overall. So that's a total of 28 pieces of costumes of this Eyes of Osiris. I just don't see it happening. I really just don't see it happening. So my best bet for you guys to look at the costumes in terms of the regional areas is Dark Domain, Sakaar, and Midgardia. I'm personally going with Dark Domain and Midgardia as a playthrough for what I'm building for my character. And just to show you what I mean by that, inside inventory, you can see like from my character, I basically pulled, like from the event, I pulled a Rise of the East. I got really lucky on that. I did get some Dark Domain boots, which was really, really cool. I had to convert over a pair of Dark Domain gloves because I just seem like I can't pull any gloves for Wolverine from the costume pull for the event. So I wasn't getting any of those at all. I did get Dark Domain helmet, which was pretty decent in terms of attack, crit damage, and crit race stats. You really can't complain about those bonus stats at all being on something. I did get a Dark Domain armor piece, and this is another good piece of gear. Attack, accuracy rate, crit damage overall. This is the one weird, funky one that I have. I really want something better. And then Dark Domain boots was cooldown decrease in HP. I would have preferred something HP recovery and ultimate gauge recovery, and I'll probably keep looking for something HP recovery and HP ultimate gauge recovery until then, but we'll see what happens. Outside of those, I did get the Eyes of Osiris shoes, and they came pretty good in terms of ultimate gauge recovery, HP and HP recovery. But notice I don't have any other Eyes of Osiris pieces of gear inside of here. I didn't get any. I didn't get any other Rise of the East gear either. I got the one helm piece and I got the one leg piece. Like you can see, I've got a couple of other, like Savage Shadowlands and stuff like that inside there. inside the set as well. I even got some steampunk boots that were also HP, cooldown decrease, and ultimate gauge recovery. I like those. But am I going to actually get something that's going to be utilized? I doubt it. I got my Sakaar shoes inside here. I did get some steampunk goggles. I just got those. I thought that was really cool, but it's not exactly the stats that I was looking for. You can see here's crit damage, status effect accuracy, and defense pierce. And that has Intrepid Dash and Swift Strike class skill. I'm not really feeling that at all. It doesn't really work out for me in any of my builds. So reroll, I would have to build this up and reroll stats, basically, see if I can get this to work. And like I said, I don't see the point in making this work for these stats specifically over here. Up and down the tree over here, we still got some Dark Domain helmets. This had attack, status effect, accuracy. I don't like the status effect accuracy necessarily being on gear, but I did get another Dark Domain helmet with critical damage, attack, and defense pierce. This is even better than the Dark Domain helmet that I had up here because it gives me a little bit more defense pierce if I need it as an option. The Sakaar helmet over here with the crit damage, defense pierce, and attack would have been great. Still not so bad if I wanted to utilize that for the Evolve Hunter class skill or roll into something like that. We can see I got the Midgardia gloves, which just weren't necessarily my thing. Like, I didn't really want to, you know, like defense and dodge rate. I don't know. Really weird, right? Xandurf gloves, which, yeah, forget the Xandurf for me. Dark Domain boots. I did get quite a bit of gear pieces inside here, and I am going to probably pop some of my inventory that I have here. So let me show you. I've been saving up stuff in case Thor came along, and you can see everything inside here. Like, I have some gear pieces inside here that I can utilize. I've got the new Stark City set still sitting in here because I'm not going to use it because I don't have a reason to use it for him at all. I've got 4 pieces of 5-star regional gear that I can basically select. So I've been saving that for a character I really want. And I've even got a 6-star special costume selection box inside here, which is great if special costumes were something that I could utilize. But until they become a point where I stack enough of them bastards, 28 of them to be specific, it's not going to be helpful to me. So I'll just hold on to that until I have 28 pieces of special gear in any one specific set, Rise of the East, Osiris, or anything else like that, and we'll make that work when the time comes. Like, I'll probably end up stacking up all those gear pieces in one place and hope for the best at some point. But I can tell you, I ain't even got half of that. So it is what it is. Well, those have been Wolverine's costumes and my suggestions. Remember, Midgardia, Sakaar, Dark Domain, and then if you were looking at the Rise of the East or the Eyes of Osiris set for the gear, it's going to largely be dependent on what you get. I doubt most of the players are going to be able to opt into Rise of the East or Eyes of Osiris, so you're basically down to Midgardia for your in-between of PvP, PvE, your Sakaar for PvE, and then your Dark Domain set probably for PvP. That's essentially what you're looking down the barrel at. Wolverine, like I said, has been a whole lot of good for me in terms of what this update has brought. I'm really excited about the impact that he possibly could have inside the game, and I'm really looking forward to it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Until next time, peace.